Hey my friends, it is me again, Pat Beaupre Becker, certified life coach, actually in the master coach training, getting learning lots of new skills and excited to share them with you as we go through the year. So it's February, and the month of February is intentionality, doing things on purpose. And this is to create the life you want, to make any changes that you want. I work with survivors of child sexual abuse who want to lose 40 pounds and to transform their relationship with their past. And this is one of the keys is intentionality, because nothing will change if we don't have a reason to change, if we don't have a desire to change, and if we don't acknowledge that change is what we want. I mean, if you don't want change, then that's another story. But most of the clients that I work with want change. They're so close to being happy or understanding how sometimes when they are not happy that they can look at their thoughts, they can look at their behaviors, and they can help themselves create a life that is more sustainably happy than what they were doing on their own. So decisions, commitment, and obstacles is kind of what I want to talk about today. So when I first decided that I wanted to lose weight once and for all, I actually had to decide that I was tired of living my life the way I was doing it, which was feeling out of control, eating lots of flour and sugar and quantities of cookies and ice cream, all kinds of sweets. And my mom was diabetic, and she died when she was 74, overweight, and she had lung cancer and diabetes. Really, she was not able to live in her last years in a very happy way. She didn't have a lot of energy, and although she had an incredible spirit and a beautiful sense of humor, there were many times when her health just really prevented her from enjoying those years of her life. So I knew I did not want to follow in her footsteps, and I could see that the way I grew up eating and the way I was eating really was not benefiting me. And so I wanted to learn how to eat differently. I wanted to learn something new. So I think that's what I really want to talk a lot about today, is somehow we have this idea that if we don't know how to do something, then we can't do it. We actually, the way our brain works, we think that if we haven't done it before, we'll not be able to do it. And I challenge you, if you do believe that, to look into your past and to just say, well, I know for myself, I graduated college. I'd never gone to college. I actually didn't go until I was 30 years old. But I had no idea what going to college was going to be like. But once I decided I wanted to go, I filled out the application, which I'd never been able to do before. And then I showed up for classes for 4 years and was able to graduate. I had no idea what was going to face me each day, and there were times when I didn't want to go to school. There were classes that I didn't like. There were teachers that I didn't like. But I just kept taking action because I had made a decision that I wanted to go to college, and I was going to graduate. So if I had said to myself, I've never been able to graduate from college before, how do I know that I could do it? I would not have taken the chances and taken the actions that got me to graduate from college. The other thing about the brain is that the brain has fears and reactions by the way we think. We'll see something and we have this thought, and the body will react to that thought. And the brain doesn't know whether the thought is true or untrue. And to give you an example, there's a story of a woman taking a hike on a road, and she looks up ahead and she sees this rattlesnake, and oh my God, totally freaks out because is afraid of snakes. And as her body is totally going into panic mode and she's ready to run away, she looks closer and notices that it's not a snake, but it's a rope. And so her brain was convinced, because of that thought, that she was ready to run away and to protect and save herself from this snake, when actually there was nothing there. I'm sure that you all can relate if you have any children, you know, the thoughts that I remember one night in particular when my daughter didn't come home. She was a teenager, early teenage years. And I tried to call her and I couldn't reach her, and I was totally panicked. And in my mind, she had been raped and murdered or was on the side of the road. I was just total fear. My body totally reacted as if that had happened to my daughter. So I ran out to find her, and lo and behold, she's sleeping at a friend's house, you know, safe and sound. But my brain was convinced that the thought that I had was true, and therefore I was in a total panic. So we have to come on. We have to know what our brain is going to do. Let's let it know that we're onto it, and that we have tools that we can use to help us learn anything new. Like, for instance, if you're going to go skiing, you know that you have to wear clothes that are going to be warm. You know you're going to rent some skis, or unless you have your own, there's the goggles and the ski poles. You're going to go on the lift. You know that you may not know how to ski the first time, but you know that there are things that are going to assist you, or taking a lesson, skiing with a friend. These are things that you know that you are going to do. So when it comes to weight loss, and especially if you are emotionally eating and you feel like you have no control, you have to look at your brain and say, there are tools, there are many tools, and I teach my clients lots of tools to help them on the way. Because one of the things that happens when you stop eating compulsively, what happens is your emotions come up. You start to see why it is you ate in the first place. And if you don't have tools to deal with that part of the problem, then it's hard to even imagine being successful. So I see this thing as an agreement. I think people like myself and a lot of my clients, they have this unspoken agreement. And here's the agreement. I'm going to eat whatever I want, and I'm going to take the easy way. I'm going to eat that extra cookie. I'm going to have that extra ice cream. I'm going to do that. And then the agreement is, I'm going to suffer afterwards. I know I'm going to suffer because I do suffer, and I have the experience of suffering over and over again because I can't fit into my clothes. I'm embarrassed. I'm always thinking about food, so I'm preoccupied. I'm worried about what people are going to think of me. And so that's my agreement. I'm going to eat and I'm going to suffer. So I'm going to propose a different agreement. What if you took those same two elements and you switched them around? And you said to yourself, well, I'm going to suffer a little bit in the beginning so that I can understand why I eat. And then after that, I'm going to get the pleasure of eating healthy foods and feel good in my body. I'm going to do the hard thing first, and then after that, I'm going to be able to wear the clothes that I want, perhaps fit into that little black dress that I used to fit into. So I think that if you can switch that agreement and say, okay, now I will suffer a little bit in order to get the goodies, it will really, really serve you. But the thing is, there's so many tools to help you get through that, because I'm not proposing by any means that you go through that suffering by yourself. I work with women, and I know in my own experience, when I've tried to do some of that work on my own, it has not been very successful, and in some ways it's been detrimental to myself, where I've maybe become more depressed because I've tried to assimilate these feelings of that I've had all my life. So I learned by coaching is that everything that has happened in the past does not really exist anymore. It only exists in my mind. So if I am afraid to feel a feeling, and so I'm going to grab something to eat, if I say to you, okay, stop the grab, let's just be with that feeling. Let's try and look at what are the thoughts that are driving that feeling. What is it that you're thinking that makes you feel like you have to have that food right now? And so we work together, my clients and I, to really look at each and every moment. There's worksheets to do urges, so that each time you come faced with an urge, you have some kind of technique and tool to help you to learn. Because what it is, it's about learning something new. And if you expect yourself to know how to do what it is that you don't know how to do, you're going to cripple yourself moving forward in life. So this is how I see it. You have a desire, You come up with the desire of something that you want. And then you try to imagine that. You use your imagination and see yourself in the place where you have lost that weight. See yourself wearing that dress. See yourself interacting with people. See yourself actually thinking about other things than food. Imagine you talking about taking a class or planting your garden or talking about other things than food. So then the next step would be to come up with some thoughts, create thoughts that are going to support you in achieving that goal, so that you can know that every thought is going to create a feeling. And so we come up with a plan of how to change a thought. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I have to have that food, you can think, look at that, I'm thinking I have to have that food. My body is experiencing this urge about having that food, and it thinks it has to have that food. What if I reached for something else that wasn't food? What is it that I'm really hungry for? So there is a way you can create some thoughts that will help you to feel more confident perhaps and more determined. And it's a process that happens over time. It's not like you do it one time and then I wish it was, but it's not. It takes time, and that's why my program is actually 6 months long, because I really believe that to change your brain, which we can do, we are actually going to be changing our brain by changing the focus of what we do in terms of our actions. And we have to change our feelings, because our feelings will drive our actions. So I would hope that you could make a decision to learn. Decide that you're going to learn how to lose weight, or you're going to learn how to speak Italian, or you're going to learn how to plant a garden. And then what you do is you create a plan and a practice, because every day that you're doing something new, you have to give yourself the space and the time to practice it and to go through the learning of each new thing. So I really believe that everybody, no matter what age you are, you can change and you can learn. And if you are interested in learning, I'd love to tell you more about my program. But in the meantime, on March 1st and 2nd, I'm going to do another webinar on emotional eating, 3 steps how to change emotional eating, how to overcome emotional eating. So I hope you will sign up for that. I'll put the link in the notes below. And I thank you again, and I hope you have a great rainy day. Bye.